Right now you're looking underneath the Craig router table that we have. It is portable, which makes it nice, and anytime we use this router table we have to lock the wheels in. What we are going to do now is take the router out of the table so that we can change the bit. There's a wing nut right here, and we need to loosen that first, and it goes counterclockwise. So if you were looking at the clock this way, we're going to turn it counterclockwise to get that loose. Sometimes that's on rather tight, and that's a good thing, but we don't want it on there too tight. Make sure the router is unplugged and shut off. So now that we have it unplugged, we're going to just again turn counterclockwise if we were facing up, and turn this router motor on out. And you'll see that we have a straight cutting bit, and we need a flush trim bit in to trim our top trim off of our top. So we're going to change this bit out and put in a flush trim bit. Right now you're looking at the handheld flush trim bit inside a handheld router, and we're going to have to take that fixed base off to get the router bit out, and then we're going to transfer to the router, which is much bigger, into our for our router table. Okay. The way we do this, you have two wrenches. Unlike the Freud, you'll have one wrench. So they both say Porter cable. They're hanging over by the CNC table. Take one of them, and on this inside nut here, you just want to push down. This table may be a little bit high for you because we have to put some pressure down on the motor to keep it from basically flopping up on us. So a shorter table is much easier. Take the other Porter cable wrench and just take a small bite. And basically the left hand always pushes down. When we take the router bit off, the right hand is also pushing down. However, when we put the router bit on, the right hand is going to pull up. So all you have to really remember is that the left hand always pushes down, and both always push down when you're taking it off. Put my stomach over the motor, push down hard, and that pops it. Sometimes you can take it off by hand, other times you have to tap it to get it off. On the Porter cables, the depth of the bit or the shaft is usually about 1/8 from the bottom of the collet. This is the collet, and that's a 1/2 inch shank, and this is a 1/2 inch collet. So that works well. What we're going to do now is take off our fixed base on our handheld to get our flush trim bit off. The process is similar to taking the router out of the table, because now the fixed base is actually part of the router on this handheld. So I'm going to loosen up the wing nut again. It's already loose. Again, unplug the cords if they're not unplugged. Make sure this one's unplugged or you won't be able to get the base free. And then basically, if this is free, we should be able to turn this right on off. Normally we shouldn't have to change the bits out like this from router to router, but we're kind of short on flush trim bits right now, so we have to do this. Again, this is another Porter cable router that's much smaller. I'm going to have to hold my motor again down with my stomach, and once again press with the left hand downward. Sometimes the wrench wants to slip off, so be careful with that. This is a 1/4 inch shank on this bit with a 1/4 inch collet. So the shank and the collet will both be going to the bigger motor. Again, both hands push down. Take a small bite. In other words, we don't want to be up here like so trying to loosen this. We'll be fighting it all day. And we definitely don't want to be going like this, or we might smash your fingers. So get your left hand down, small bite, Keep your knuckles out of the way, stomach over the motor, and press. That pops it. Tap it if you need to. And again, this one was not in quite as deep because we have a really short shank. We're just going to switch this over to our other router now. You can start by hand tightening it. And we'll just go ahead and put this on. So left hand pushes down. Right hand is going to pull up. It doesn't have to be super tight, but it does need to be tight. There we go. And our router bit is in place. Okay. And I'm just going to throw that bit on the other router so we don't lose it for the time being. At this point, we have to put the quarter cable router back into the Craig face frame table. You want to keep a hand under the motor. It's not very light. They made it so you can actually rest your arms on here. I'm sitting on my rear end, so I'm nice and balanced. And basically, we don't want to strip this out, so just take your time, get it nice and level, and start turning. We don't force it in, we just let it turn itself in as we turn it without a lot of pressure. Okay? Once we set our height above, then we will come back and loosen this or tighten this up. If we fail to tighten that, obviously the motor is going to vibrate, drop down on the floor, and cause some damage.